Coming up, it's the final trailer, an introduction as to what brought me to the dance in the podcast world. And we sat down with Kelly Guilfoyle from Drink Like a Girl 5K to talk about the Curtain Up event this month. The Buffalo Brews podcast starts right now. Welcome everyone, it's Brews Day and you know what that means. I'm Jason Ettinger, your host, and thank you for giving us a listen as we are here to share all that's good in the ever-changing landscape that is Buffalo and Western New York. And it is never more true than it is today, as it was announced just a few hours ago in the Athletic online publication that Buffalo Sabres owners Terry and Kim Pegula are going to be getting out of the restaurant business. And that means that 716, as of today, is no more. You will hear this podcast on Tuesday, and as of today, the keys are going to be handed over to Southern Tier Brewing Company out of Lakewood, New York. Formed in 2002, they have locations in Lakewood, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Charlotte, North Carolina, and now they're moving north from Lakewood up into the city of Buffalo into a very prime location. Unfortunately for the Pegulas, when the pandemic struck last year, they were forced to lay off several of their workers, and it was understood that they never reopened the restaurant after the pandemic struck. So basically cutting bait and moving forward with that, and Southern Tier Brewing Company is going to be a great proprietor in that space. I believe the other two establishments in there are the Draft Room and the Healthy Scratch, but as according to that story, it's not clear what will happen with those two spots. So I look forward to going to Southern Tier Brewing Company in the Harbor Center when they get opened up there to enjoy a lakeshore fog or perhaps an extra mile. I wanted to take a moment to thank family and friends and even the perfect strangers who have reached out over the past several weeks while we're ramping up the podcast to offer well wishes, encouragement, to check in, or to offer helpful suggestions as we move forward. It is always great to hear from everyone, and we welcome any and all feedback that we receive here at the podcast. So now it's going to be that silly, sentimental time of this introduction podcast to tell you why I made the leap into the podcasting world. I'm going to try not to turn this into one of my old youth football coach speeches, and I'm going to do this in my own words, so here we go. I grew up in the Southern Tier, Sherman, New York to be exact, and right in the snow belt, we learned early on at a young age that not only did you help yourself out when you needed to, but you helped your neighbors as well. And when I moved to Buffalo after getting out of the military, it was no different. We have earned the nickname the City of Good Neighbors for a reason. It doesn't matter if it was the 2006 October surprise storm, or if it was Snowmageddon, or if it was the pandemic. You saw it everywhere. People helping people even when we were told we couldn't be within 6 feet of each other. We figured out a way. When birthday parties couldn't happen, we had car parades. When restaurants couldn't seat customers any longer, we did curbside takeout from our favorite places. I remember driving to Lewiston with my son to pick up a couple of barbecue dinners, and I remember the young man who anxiously ran out of the restaurant to ask me my name and to run back in to grab those dinners for me, and I was on my way. Now, is that why I decided to do the podcast? No, but it is the reason for the podcast because that is who we are. And you're going to hear plenty about all the great places to eat, drink, experience in the many weeks going forward with this podcast. Growing up, I always liked to be outdoors with my father and hiking the trails that were behind my parents' old property. I always looked at trails not just as paths that went through the woods that went wherever, but that a trail had a destination. Even today, I'm outdoorsy, especially this winter. And with the hiking challenge that I am part of, not every trail is a straight line that goes to a specific goal. Sometimes those trails will veer off into different directions, but in the end, we have to make it to that goal or that objective to take the challenge picture. And I look at trails like that in the same way today. I even like the idea of, a wine trail or a beer trail or a chicken wing trail or an ice cream trail. You have a list, you have a way to get there, and you have an objective, but how you get there is your choice. Now take that trail and turn those trails into life and experiences and stories. What trail or path led you to open the business that you run? What trail or path led you to the way that you run your restaurant? What trail or path did you take in order to create a fantastic experience for families across Western New York to enjoy? So for me, that is why I created the podcast. I want to hear the stories. I want to walk the trails with them. I want to know how they got to the objective. Did they take a straight line? Was it an easy trail? Did they take a different path? Did they take their own path? That's what I want to do here, is bring those stories, bring those paths to you, and encourage you to get out and enjoy everything that we have to offer. Thank you again to everyone for joining us for this introduction version of our podcast. This next segment, we sat down and talked with Kelly Guilfoyle, who is the head of Drink Like a Girl 5K. Kelly's event, the Curtain Up Backyard Brew Fest, takes place in the month of March to celebrate Women's History Month, the women's right to vote in craft beer. Afterwards, I'll give you some additional information on how you can participate in the event coming up on March 27th. And now my interview with Kelly. Caught my attention originally was 12 Gates Brewery is literally a mile and a half from my place.
Yeah.
And I saw your poster in the hallway a while back. And honestly, it was before the original shutdown. So you were going to have the first event in 2020.
Yeah.
And it kept catching my eye because they never took the poster down during quarantine or afterwards, and it had the old date on it. So I started looking up the information and I was really intrigued.
That's bad.
So then I'm looking it up, and I know that Women's History Month is in March, and I'm looking up your history, and you had just started in January of 2020, and then the bottom fell out of everything.
Yes, it did.
But I love the concept of 100th anniversary of celebrating women's rights to vote and craft beer.
Yeah. I mean, so I have a whole backstory if you want to hear it, but in short, like this event management company, Drink Like a Girl, it's all about creating awesome memories and supporting the craft brewery industry, as well as empowering women to simplify things. But yeah, there's a whole reason why I even created Drink Like a Girl, that we can get it. Whatever you want to get into, I'm game.
If we have backstory, I would love to hear backstory.
Okay.
One of the things about my podcast is we always like the story about how things came to be. It's all about creating your own path. So we want to find out what your path was to get to where we are today. All
right. Let's do this. I've been in the service industry for about 20. Well, now if I include event management, Drink Like a Girl, 26 years, but 24 years professionally bartending for some crazy places. I ended up opening Yankee Stadium in 2009. I opened up Barclays Center in 2012. I was Jay-Z's private bartender, and I got to meet all the celebs and all that jazz. And then from there, I also worked at the 21 Club seasonally, where, that is legend. So, I continued to grow that. I worked with Marcus Samuelson out of Red Rooster Harlem, who's a world-renowned chef. And that was such a fun experience. And the people I got to meet there was incredible. And the Capitol Theater, which is like the home of Jerry Garcia. And a portion of this event's proceeds are going to them because they're one of, they became family to me. And this is all about supporting the live performance industry as a whole. This event that we're throwing is just the kickoff. This whole realm of Curtain Up beer is a whole nother gorgeous world that we can get into. So came back upstate. I was born and raised up here about 3 years ago, and I helped open a brewery. And there I was the head bartender, and I was the on-premise sales rep. And I was really able to dive into the craft beer world, and I learned so much As well as I found that women are definitely a minority in at least because there's discussion of, oh, a bartender's always female, like in the sales realm, in other realms of craft beer. Craft beer is not just the tap room. Craft beer engulfs so many things. And so I'd see a female every 2 to 3 months that was a sales rep. And it's very male dominated world. And they all think that they own it. And I love you, men. I'm not trying to hate, but my take back was drink like a girl. I'm going to create a company that focuses on craft beer and women empowerment, and we're going to stretch across the state. And my goal is, and although that was slowed down a bit due to COVID, is to take this thing on the road and go to different states and meet different breweries. And, you know, I'm all about, even right now doing these virtual events, is combining downstate and upstate and downstate, border of PA, New York and up. So like there's a huge world. And yes, we dominate in this region. We really do, with the amount of beers that are offered in the tap rooms and all of that. But there is beautiful beer all across the state, and there are amazing people. And I have a passion for New York City, especially because my heart's still there in many ways. I have so much family and friends staying down there for well over a decade and having all these great experiences. So yeah, that's Drink Like a Girl. That's where it came from. That's where it birthed itself with all those ideas.
Yeah, and I agree with what you were saying, that you're talking about coming up to our area here. So, you know, Western New York, Rochester, Buffalo, and it being a very male dominated industry here, not only in the craft beer industry, but it seems like in a lot of the distribution, it seems to be very male dominated. And you see women peppered in here and there. In all the interviews that I've listened to, and even the ones I've conducted, I haven't conducted a single interview yet with a woman. And I don't know of any women who run any craft beer. I know some that are involved in the spirits industry around here, Southern Tier, Cask and Crew, which is what I was drinking earlier because I enjoy their rye whiskey myself. I know that some women run some of the show there. So, yeah. And then you also answered the big question I had, was when I was looking at the selection for the event that I'm going to ask you about in a moment here with the Curtain Up, and the selection of beers that went across the state. I was very curious about how you had so many connections going up and down the state. And now I know, opening Yankee Stadium, open the Barclays Center, being the private bartender for Jay-Z, which just sounds like amazing stories that would come out of that.
That was a lot of fun. Let's just say that it's a lot of fun.
Well, is there now for just a side pitch question there, is there a favorite celeb interaction that you ever had in that job?
Yeah, there is. I love Dave Chappelle. I have met some amazing, crazy people, but I love Dave Chappelle. It sounds weird, but and Queen Latifah. I love Queen Latifah too. Dave Chappelle sat at my bar and just cracked jokes on people the entire night as I took care of him, and a couple times. And he's just, you know, it's as a bartender, it's great to meet people who are they're just people to you, you know, they're just, and he's a celebrity on top of it. But in general, like communicating with people and having that engagement as a bartender is what we really look for. And yeah, he kept me laughing the entire time. It was hilarious. He's hilarious. And Queen just has a great attitude overall, and she was kind and sweet. And but you know, Rihanna was a big regular of mine too, and she's incredible and all of those things. You know, we could go on, but my favorite was Dave because he kept me laughing.
Good. I like that. I like that a lot. You know, it's always great to be able to interact with celebrities and have great stories that come from it. Yeah. Mine were more music influences, especially in my late teenage years. And so I spent time in Chautauqua Institution. I used to night manage a hotel there. I was also a waiter. So I met a lot of musicians like Gloria Estefan, Tony Bennett, the jazz artist Chick Corea that just recently passed away. I mean, just and being able to learn about
Tony Bennett. I'm so jealous.
Tony, and it was, and I'll just tell a quick story about that. I'm not going to really
tell me
my podcast about myself, but. So Tony Bennett had a concert at Chautauqua Institution, and I was working in a restaurant that was just up the hill from the amphitheater. So I would run the nighttime activities. It usually ran until about 2 a.m. And then the manager, who I always forget his last name. His first name was Joe. I always remember that. Big jolly Italian guy. And he had this very narrow office that was really deep, that was up front, just off of the main dining area in the restaurant. And I would always stop in, okay, hey, Joe, everything's done. See if he had any questions for me, let him know I was going to lock up behind me, because he always stayed until the wee hours of the morning. I never know when that guy ever slept. And the one night I went in there, he had this kind of it was not a recliner chair. It was just kind of like a stationary armchair that was there, cushioned and everything like that. And once in a while I'd see friends of his, and they'd be having a drink or whatever. And I just happened to stick my head in. I knocked on the door, and he said, "Oh, that's good." And he turned around, and I literally said to him, "Holy shit, you're Tony Bennett."
I love it.
And he had known Tony for 30 years. And he got up out of the chair. He shook my hand, and he's like, "How are you, young man?" I said, "Hi." He goes, "What's your name?" I told him my name is Jason. And I just kept shaking his hand in like one of those fanboy moments. And he's like, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Bennett." He says, "Please call me Tony B."
I love that.
Now we were friends for 30 years. And I'm like, it was just an incredible interaction.
Tony B.
Yeah.
I like it. I've only had one moment with a celebrity. I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a little bit of, my best friend is Travis McCoy from Gym Class Heroes, but this was well beyond him. So I don't think that's even it. I don't know what it is. I think I've maybe met so many different celebrities. That's not bragging. It's trying to come to a conclusion that one time, and only one time, and I was very surprised by me, did I have a fanboy reaction. And it was when I was backstage. I was Jay-Z's private bartender, and Beyonce walked in the room, and I literally lost my breath. And I'm a Beyonce fan, don't get me wrong. I'm actually a Mariah Carey fan, like always and forever. Like I'm old, so she was everything as a kid to me. But I was shocked. I literally lost my breath, and I've never done that I'm a professional. I've never done that. So I get the fanboy, or like that moment, because of that moment with Beyonce. I was just like, it's Beyonce. I don't know what happened.
It's just so easy.
I just didn't even expect it. It came out of nowhere.
I love that. So going back to the event itself. Now, this is the Curtain Up.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're talking about the event.
Yeah, I'm like, now I want to talk about celebrity moments all night long. It's like, oh, this one time. Yeah,
let's go. All right, come on.
But so this is the Curtain Up Backyard Brewfest event that we're talking about here, correct?
Drink Like a Girl, Curtain Up Backyard Brewfest. We were asked to throw the kickoff event for the Curtain Up initiative, which was an honor from the Happy Hour guys who started this initiative. They're 2 out-of-work actors, but prior to being out of work, pre-COVID, they were all about combining Broadway or the arts with craft beer. And this is the 6th in their 6-pack is the Curtain Up beer. Because of COVID, they decided to go this route with their 6th beer in their 6-pack they've been creating since 2014.
Wonderful. I love that. And I saw there was there was 15 beers across 15 breweries going all the way down to New York City.
Yeah.
And then I guess the westernmost is the one that's being featured here at 12 Gates. And they're in a collaboration.
Yep. That's right. With Gun Hill.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so for the event itself, now, as I'm reading this, you're going to have numerous, as you put it, I love the term starving artist, because it's really highlighting people who have the talent, but are truly struggling in their art.
They need it, man.
So I see that you're bringing in these starving artists that are going to be doing these songs, and then they're going to be voted on by the fans.
Yeah. This is the little bit of a hidden gem that people don't know that's going on with the event. What's going to happen is the first 2 weeks in March, musicians are going to go live from the private access group. And on March 16th, customers or participants of the actual Curtain Up event will be able to vote, as well as anyone who donates $20. Some people are like, I don't want to get into beer, but this sounds really fun. Or they want to support their artist or what have you. So you donate $20 directly to the event, and that will go to the Capitol Theater and these musicians. And so they're going to live stream. We have a set schedule. We're going to be launching that soon with the days and times and the artists of when they're going live. And everyone will vote on March 16th. And then those 2 winning artists will receive, right now we're well over $250. They'll receive that, and then they'll do one encore song, and they'll also kick off the live event on March, or the virtual, it's a live feed, virtual event on March 27th.
Wonderful. I love everything that I've read about this event so far. So for $20, now the ticket for the event on the 27th, is that the $20 ticket, or is that or the $20 ticket gets you the voting rights and then the ticket to the event?
It's not a ticket, it's a direct donation. So you just go to drinklikeagirl5k.com, and you click on the button that says tickets/donations, and you can just choose to donate that $20, and you'll gain access for the first 2 weeks in March, and you'll get voting rights on those musicians. At which point, if you don't have a ticket to the actual event, you'll be removed from that group on the 17th. So this is a way, again, to get everyone engaged that not necessarily wants to get involved with the Curtain Up Backyard Brew Fest.
Now you've completely sold me, because I was about ready to buy the ticket. I'm like, I got to ask the question because I got to know exactly how this works. So now you're going to have to count me in. I'm going to buy my ticket tonight so that I can get involved on the 27th, because I just love how this sounds.
Thank you. I mean, with that ticket, you're getting, you're getting those 15 craft beers across NYS, but we're also doing, and we hope you come out, 6 DLG event pickups. We start in Buffalo, then we move to Rochester, then Syracuse, then Westchester, then Queens, and then Long Island. So we're literally going across the state with this thing. And so they're really fun. They're high energy. A lot of the breweries are also they have food trucks and bands. And what I love about what we can do is that when we throw an event pickup, people make a day of it. They go have lunch, they have a pint, and they support these breweries. And these breweries benefit from it as well, not only from gaining new customers because we reach statewide, but also just from that business they're bringing in while these people are picking up the pack. So it really is just great, everything all around. We just have a ton of fun. And then you also get merch. We do have a couple sponsors and Frito-Lay, and we have Pittsburgh Printing that's doing this awesome description card where the brewers themselves are making these descriptions. So they're like funny. They're not something you'd see on a website. They have like quirky things. Some of them are one-liners. Some of them are like an act, like that, 2 hops walk in a bar. And these are directly from the brewer's mouths, which we absolutely love. And another thing that we absolutely love is these brewers are filming this will be our 3rd Beer Reviews Unfiltered. So it's a homage to Jimmy Kimmel's Mean Tweets. Have you ever heard of that?
I have, and I enjoy those every time.
Yeah. So this is the brewers reading mean comments from Untapped, social media of sorts, even emails, and they're reading these comments, and then we make a video out of it. And it's been one of the highlights for every single virtual event, and we absolutely love it. It's a fun kick. It really is. But yeah, you get to taste for brewers, and then we have that live competition prior, but the day of we also have a ton of amazing artists going live, and you're going to get this mix of learning about beer and talking to these brewers and listening to these artists. They're nationwide that are signing up, not only for the Battle of the Breweries Best competition that runs from March 1st to March 16th, but also for the actual event. We have some really cool acts coming on, and we're going to be shuffling that between learning with brewers and tasting some beer.
Oh, I can't wait for it. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much fun. Yeah,
definitely.
I'd like to thank Kelly Guilfoyle for sitting down with me and talking about her event, the Drink Like a Girl 5K Curtain Up Backyard Brew Fest. That's going to take place on Saturday, March 27th. You can pick up tickets at drinklikeagirl5k.com. They start at $125, and you get your ticket for the event as well as the 15 custom brews that they're making for the event. You can pick up your pack locally on Saturday, March 20th at 12 Gates Brewery, located on Earhart Drive in Williamsville. So get your ticket now. Once again, going to drinklikeagirl5k.com and get in on a fantastic event for a great cause. All right, folks, that's the end of another episode of the Buffalo Brews podcast. I can now announce to you that our debut episode is going to take place on Tuesday, March 23rd, and from there we will be with you each and every week to bring you the best that Buffalo and Western New York has to offer.